Good God, I've been going for an hour. If anybody's had enough and they're getting bed sores sitting or want to go to sleep, I don't take offence. I would just ask you leave between readings. So if anybody would like to go home now, it's quite all right. Just leave money at the door. This is a bit of a parody on the current troubles in Ireland at the time. It's called Trouble at the Table. And it's subtitled, O'Reilly Expounds on the Great Wall of Ulster. And this is one of my columns too. Excuse me. Dr. Fingal Flaherty O'Reilly was rarely lost for an opinion, and not only on matters medical. Now, it's just possible you may have noticed that between 1969 and 1994 there had been a touch of internecine unpleasantness in the north of Ireland. At the time of writing this column, peace had broken out, but when I was working for O'Reilly, there were nights when I began to wonder when they were going to issue the Civil War with a number, like WW1, WW2. Many great minds had done their collective best to try to come up with a solution, but alas, in vain. After another huge bomb had remodeled a chunk of Belfast, I foolishly asked O'Reilly over supper one evening what he thought could be done about the troubles. He paused from disarticulating the roast fowl, stared at me over his half-moon spectacles, and waved vaguely in my general direction with a slice of breast that was impaled on the carving fork. Which troubles? I toyed with my napkin, feeling a great urge to have bitten my tongue out before I spoke. It had been a busy day. Mrs. Kincaid's roast chicken would have gone a long way to easing the hunger pangs, but the way O'Reilly asked his question in reply, I could tell he was ready to expound, and at some length, and I had a horrible suspicion he might forget he was meant to be carving. Come on, man, he laid his fork and its toothsome burden back on the plate. Which troubles? I sighed. Dinner, it seemed, was going to be late. The troubles, Fingal, the Civil War. He picked up the fork, expertly dislodged a slice of meat with a carving knife. I should say dislodged onto his own already heaped plate. Oh, he said, those troubles. No, Fingal. The outbreak of foot and mouth disease at Paddy Murnahan's farm, the Civil War in Biafra, or the fact you seem to have forgotten that locums like gun dogs need to be fed at least once every day. I kept the thought to myself. Captain Bligh and his few loyal crew members had rowed a longboat 2,000 miles to East Timor, existing on one ship's biscuit. Perhaps if I let O'Reilly expound, he might eventually see fit to toss me the odd crumb of nourishment. A spoon disappeared into the nether end of the chicken and reappeared full of steaming sage and onion stuffing. Those troubles. O'Reilly hesitated, trying to find room in his plate between the slices of breast and the roast potatoes, before deciding to dump the stuffing at random on top of the pile. He replaced the boon in the spurred. Nope, he replaced the spoon in the bird, with all the finesse of a highly skilled proctologist. Think of it. Those troubles, he said. I think there's a pretty simple solution. Pass the gravy. I did. Fingal, I tried, at least hoping to encourage him to start serving me as he held forth. Try interrupting the incoming tide in Skookum Chuck and Arrows. Local colour. Simple. Now, he said, you tell me what are the three most pressing problems in Northern Ireland. He ingested a forkful, masticated happily while waiting for my reply. How about pellagra, scurvy, beriberi, and sundry other deficiency diseases in underpaid, underfed junior doctors? Come on, he said, come on. His words were a little garbled. A full mouth will do that too. He swallowed. Right, he said, I'll tell you. The three major problems in this part of the world are unemployment, falling tourism, and the brave lads who like to make things go bang. I was drowning in my own saliva watching him tuck in. He pointed at me with his fork. The solution, he said, is a great wall of Ulster. A what? A great wall of Ulster. He pulled the half-carved chicken towards himself, stood, expertly dissected the remaining drumstick, and laid 3 potatoes between the severed limb and the rest of the carcass. Now look, he said, the thigh there's Ulster, and the potatoes are the Great Wall. Brilliantly pictorial, I have to admit, but I really would have forgone his lesson in political science if a bit of his improvised Ulster or the rest of Ireland, if that was what the breast was meant to represent, could somehow have been transported to my still empty plate. Now, he said, tourism. The tourists would come for miles to see the Great Wall. He used a carving knife to line up the tubers more accurately. Now, he said, the unemployed would have built it in the first place, so that would be work for them. My unemployed stomach let go with a gurgling like the boiling mud pits in New Zealand. "You're excused," said O'Reilly. Finally, he squashed one of the potatoes with the spoon he'd used to help himself to the stuffing. The brave lads who like to go bang could blow it up to their heart's content without hurting anybody. He paused and replaced the mash spud with a fresh one, and the unemployed could be kept busy rebuilding it. He sat beaming at me. "I told you there was a simple solution." I hastened to agree, hoping that now he'd finished, I might finally get something to eat. The door opened, and Mrs. Kincaid, the housekeeper, stuck her head into the dining room. "Can you come at once, Dr. Taylor? There's been an accident." There you are. O'Reilly's solution to the Great Wall of